Alright, welcome back to the series, and we're talking about the rest of the build for the B6.2d, and I've gone ahead and assembled the rest of the car minus the shocks. There'll be a separate video just for how to build a shock correctly, but I wanted to go over a few things about the car and the new features that we have on the B6.2. So first of all, the front wing, as mentioned before, this is a very contoured front wing. You can see it fits very nicely onto the car. There's not a lot of gap between it and the front shock tower. So that's a big plus that comes in the kit. And the other things we'll see in a later video when we install the fan. The fan goes right here and just blows directly on the motor. So they added that to the kit to give you an option. And really this is a nice place for the Layback transmission, which is this transmission right here. So this transmission puts the motor farther towards the rear of the car, and it's primarily used for a little bit looser tracks that aren't as high grip. So definitely if you're running the car outdoors, this might be a good option for you. And the problem with where we used to mount the fan on the 6.1, we used to put it right here, and with the rear for the motor going more towards the rear, it was harder to get the fan there, or near impossible. And especially with the slipper clutch assembly sticking out the back like this. So this is a nice option for folks that are running the Layback transmission. So obviously in the kit you get the Layback transmission, and it's got a separate idler gear, a smaller idler gear. And what's in the car now is the Laydown transmission, and this is for putting the motor a little bit more towards the center of the car. So you can see it's quite a bit farther forward. And what this does is it is better for tracks that are a little bit more high bite. So that's something that they added with this kit, is they put both transmissions just right in the box. I think they had that on the B6.1 DL also, but they just continued it on with this car, so it's nice. The transmissions are very easy to get to the differentials, so this one doesn't have any screws in it, and you can see this is where the shock tower mounts right here, and this pops off, and there you go. You've got access right to the diff when you need it, so that's very nice. And speaking of the diff, in the diff case, what they've done is they've built some adjustability on how you can put the diff in as far as heights go. So there's these inserts that go, and this will change the height of the diff in the car. So if you have more high traction, you may take the diff and put it lower. If you have less traction, you can maybe put it higher. And really this would give you just the ability to suit the track condition, and this was something that was lacking on the buggy series before. So like the B5M, for example, didn't have that capability. So it's very nice that we've got that ability. The other thing is on the Dot 2, you can see these rear hubs are totally redesigned for this car, and they're taking cues from other companies like X-Ray, where they're giving you almost infinite adjustability as far as where this ball stud goes. So out of the box, you've got a 2mm spacer, and the ball stud just is right in the center. And you can move this all around. You can take these out. So it's lengthening this turnbuckle which will then give you a different turning characteristic on the back of the car, either raising or lowering the roll center. So it's very nice to have that option. So the other thing on the back of the car is redesigned rear arms. So the rear arms are symmetrical, meaning that you can use them on the left or the right. The only thing that differentiates them is there's a fine adjustment on the back of the car. So there's one hole on this side, and on this side there's two holes. So depending on where you want your shocks, you may be limited by which side you can use your arm. The hubs are dependent left-right, so you have a left hub and a right hub. One of the other things they did on the .2 revision is the shock tower is a little bit lower and the shock bodies are a little bit smaller. So we went from a 31 or 32 millimeter shock body down to a 27.5 millimeter shock body. And I've played around with, on my .2, running both, and definitely the 27.5 feels better for me on a medium to high bite track. So feel like that was a good move on the .2 car for sure. Some of the other things you can do with the rear of the car is you can change the height of the hub where it actually rides in this arm. So you can raise and lower this depending on traction, and that's a nice feature. You can also change the length of the wing. So there's spacers that come in the kit, and they give you either 20 millimeter screws, or I think these are 12 millimeter screws, to just push the wing back a little bit, and that changes the downforce profile of the car if you want a little bit more downforce on your car. So moving forward, you can see the spur gears here loaded here. This is the 72, and the car also comes with a 78 tooth spur gear as well, so those are interchangeable, and it's got the white slipper pads installed in the slipper. I failed to mention that the gear diff does not come with the car. That is a option part that this particular car got built with. So it's nice to have, but it's not something that comes in the kit. You have to buy this separately. Okay, so that's it for the overview of the rest of the build. The next thing we're gonna do is build some shocks and mount those on the car, and then start working our way through getting the electronics installed. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next video.